Alex Becker literally made tens of millions of dollars in the last bull market back in 2021. And he did this all with an extremely simple, when I'm going to show you in this video, you're going to be like, wait, that's the whole strategy. That's the whole plan. That seems way too simple. But in the last market, it literally made him tens of millions. This time, however, tens of millions is not enough. That is his starting point. He's got tens of millions of dollars invested. I'm going to show you some exact figures in this video. And he plans to make that hundreds of millions of dollars by literally following the exact same oversimplified strategy that I'm also going to reveal to you in this video. And even though we may not all have tens of millions of dollars to invest in crypto as a starting point, there'll be a lot of his followers who follow him on X or follow him on YouTube or even follow here on Across the Rubicon, where you get some scoops way before you find them on Alex Becker's Twitter page that will make 7 or 8 figures literally just by copy trading his exact tokens and copy trading his exact simple strategy. So to give yourself the best chance possible of that being you, hit that like button down below and let's jump straight in. Becker says, utility coins have failed. This is anything that basically is not a meme coin in crypto. And Becker says that is wrong. A lot of people who believe this are going to be blown away off the sidelines. Case in point, this is BNB. We've gone through this chart 2 days ago together. It's now at 800 and something US dollars. But you can see how many, this is Becker's drawings down here, which are kind of cute. He's got a $38 down to $9. This is where BNB literally lost 80% in a pullback. And then went on to do from $9 to $721, now over $800. Basically, he's saying the herd and people who will not make 8 or 9 figures in crypto are short-term thinkers, and they're lacking the vision of what happens in the 4th year of this cycle, the banana zone, where things go exponential. And to be honest, he's been right so many times. I made a video with you guys this week about the massive pullbacks of Dogecoin, because this is Doge's journey from $1 billion down here to $100 billion, which looks pretty flat. But when you zoom in, it's 100x in the macro. But in the micro, guys, this flat line right here actually looks like this when you put it into perspective, going from 600 mil all the way up to $1.9 billion. And this is what is going to be happening to utility tokens. And if the season plays out as is laid out here, which this is how it's played out in all other bull cycles, and it is so far ticking off things one by one, but people are getting a little bit impatient and they're thinking we're going to be in NFT flex season and alt season before all the liquidity comes into crypto. But basically, we've had Bitcoin break all-time highs and pushing higher. We've had Ethereum knocking on all-time highs. What's next is large caps and alt season, which is what I'm going to be talking about in this video, because we want to skate to where the puck is going. We want to look at which tokens is Becker holding that has the largest upside in large caps and altcoins, because once again, I'll break these down in other videos, so make sure you subscribe if this is the first video you're seeing. We do a lot of Alex Becker research for you to make your decisions way simpler. Alex Becker had, when I made this chart, 71 different crypto tokens. Now guys, as of literally yesterday, he's actually picked up another one, to bring the total to 75, adding these 4 literally in the last 2 weeks. And when I made this sheet and said he has 71 tokens, I predicted that he would have 100 to 120 tokens before the cycle is over. And now we're up to token 75. But not all these tokens are even. Even the ones that have scored highly in this little filter that I put through, that basically means they're not tanked the new narratives and they're smaller market caps that don't already have that 100x return that you've missed, they're still not all going to be incredible. In fact, Alex Becker does not believe in all of them equally. And so in this video, I'm going to be showing you the tokens that I personally think should be in the Millionaire Alex Becker starter pack based on how much of the tokens he actually holds. For example, if he owns $1 million of Beam, but only $100,000 of ZigChain, he's 10 times more sure that Beam is going to go higher than ZigChain. So we're going to be breaking that down based on his holds. Now, how do we know, guys, that he's had 4 more tokens come in? How do we know that he holds tens of millions of dollars? I'm going to show you more precise numbers in just a second. Well, on this channel and inside our inner circle, we track over 40 Alex Becker wallets, all on chain, most of them receiving new tokens or holding tokens that he's spoken about in the past. So we can put together totals of how much of each coin he's holding and how much of the total market caps of those coins he controls, and therefore which ones he believes in the most, and which ones he's going to be pushing more often on his social media. Now let's have a look at Becker's allocations. Well, this is Becker up the top here. And on chain, we have over 15 million US dollars tracked of Alex Becker inside these utility alts, with a large portion of this 15 mil, probably about $4.5 million in the tokens that I'm about to reveal to you. Off-chain, we can obviously not track what he's not holding on-chain, but based on his tweets, based on some of the transactions we've got going from on-chain to off-chain, we are estimating that he holds about $20 million off-chain, bringing his total to about $35 million sitting in crypto. And this lines up with some of his tweets, how he says he's got multiple tens of millions in crypto, how he says he lost like $16 million. We reverse engineered the math, and I believe it sits at about $35 million, give or take a little bit. And again, his goal is to hit some 100x's, his goal is to hit some 50x's, but you have to realize at this volume, at this amount of money, it's hard to get your money out. Because if you hold $1 million of a token, you're going to need a lot of liquidity in order to be able to sell. So even though a token might do a 20x, by the time he sells, it might only be an 8x. So I've given a very conservative estimate that Becker might want to 6x his money across his entire portfolio. Some of them are going to tank and do absolutely nothing and lose all his money, and others are going to go on to do a 50x return. And on average, we might see a nice 6x, which would give him $213 million. Now, based on this Becker multiple of what I think he'd happily get out for if the market allowed it, we can see exactly how much allocation we personally need in order to make whatever our financial goal is. So if we want to make $50,000, an $8,333 allocation, if the Becker thesis plays out, would likely get us there. If you want to make $1 million, because some people will, and I hope to be one of them, print millions based on just copy trading Alex Becker, you need $166,000 allocation. And if you have a smaller range goal, something like $10,000 would make you happy, that's awesome. You need a much smaller allocation, maybe about $1,600 into the Alex Becker Millionaire starter kit. Now, of course, guys, this is not just a money printer that you can come in and put in $8,000 and take out $50,000. There is risk involved. You already know that. I'm not going to tell you about that risk, but what I am going to tell you is about this thing that Becker talks about all the time, and it's really important to know. He says, this is the most lopsided risk to reward in years, and he's all in. Now, he's not all in. He's strongly in with tens of millions, but he's worth $150 million plus. So he's probably allocated 20% of his net worth to his crypto strategy, of which I might be at about a similar amount, because if it pays off, we'll get instant 3 to 5x's on the large caps, remember the layer ones, and then we'll get 10x returns in bull market euphoria. So remember I said he could get out at 6. Even if he gets out at 10x returns, he's got $300 million. And the risk is, okay, this season doesn't play out like the last, and we're going to lose 50% of that money we put in. If there's a casino where you could walk in and pay $30 million for what, a 50-50 or a 75-25 chance at $300 million, you would be crazy not to do it. So that is what Becker thinks we are looking at right here. And I'm going to show you 5 tokens that he has put his money into. In fact, about $4.5 million into that he thinks will be able to do this for him. Starting with the one we talk about a lot on this channel. It is a bigger market cap, but it has to be included because it's one of his biggest hold. It is, of course, Desync. He says, hey, mister, want a great 10x entry. So this is the projection that he's got here. 10x entry down here at about, I'm guessing, to 11.5 cents. Hell yes, I do. Well, too bad you missed it, because Destra started running literally about 10 days ago. In fact, here, he specifically calls out mid-cap AI tokens like Destra will 10 to 15x, being consistent with his call of about a 10x on Destra. And then here, which is a long time ago, this is actually November last year when Destra was way higher than it is now at about 39 cents. He said he told you to buy at micro prices. He told you to buy in the mini AI bear market. He told you to buy it literally 2 weeks ago. Obviously 2 weeks ago, this absolutely skyrocketed in no time. Just like BNB and just like the euphoric banana zone plans to do for all these tokens, which he's saying is on the horizon right now. But here in this tweet, he says the $1 billion prophecy begins, which means he's projecting that the Desync market cap could hit that $1 billion level. If we come over to coin market cap, we can see that does stay consistent with about his 10x goal here, sitting at $131 million market cap, pulling back from that recent pump that we saw last week down to about 13 cents. A little more of a degenerate play, because this is closer to the lower cap, a 20 to 30x, where he says Destra is a mid cap, a 10 to 15x, is Taobot. because in this tweet, he mentions BitTensor or Tau, which is a massive AI token. Now, on this token, there is a little brother play, as Alex Becker puts it, saying that basically if BitTensor does a 5x, this little brother play will probably do an 8 to a 10x, maybe even up to a 12x based on the math he used in a YouTube video. And on this same post, he's actually mentioned this back in April 23. He says the best little brother higher multiple trade, so basically like a leverage on top of Tau, is a token called Taobot, which is the DEX that runs on top of this blockchain. And he says this could be a higher multiple because this is the simple strategy because it's a lower market cap. Destra at 150 mil market cap will move slower and be way less volatile than Taobot at a $50 million market cap. And you can see Taobot is more volatile. You can see its peaks and valleys are much more spread out here because have a look at this. From 32 cents, a quick double in the period of like a couple of weeks to 70 cents, now pulling back to 48 cents. Which takes us to the third token in the Alex Becker Millionaire starter pack. And this token is a new partner of Alex Becker's and also a new partner here at the channel. And it's a very interesting token. And it's not OXO, but I'm going to show you why OXO is important before we talk about this token. This is Crypto God John, who puts Alex Becker onto a lot of new tokens. And he wrote, I haven't been this excited about an altcoin in a long time. He's referencing a token called OXO. But stay tuned because this is not the token that we are talking about. He's saying OXO was giving him an early 2008 Chainlink vibes before it did the absolutely insane play that Crypto God John made and made over a 300x return. I think he made about a 360x return on his money from Chainlink. And he thought OXO was basically going to be the next link for him. And he thought that for a while. And if we come down to the chart, we can see it performed extremely well. I got in at about 6 cents OXO and luckily timed the top up here at about 47 cents before it pulled back and then went absolutely massive again up to that 50-cent mark and then pulled back. And it really has been one of the tokens that fell the hardest from its highs, which is interesting because it was sitting at like a $500 million market cap and was going to be one of the biggest AI and privacy plays literally in the whole narrative that was going on. And we haven't even seen that bull market yet. And in fact, July 16th, John says he does still own a lot of OXO, but the team completely just let momentum fall off again. He's not happy with the team at OXO and he thinks they really have been fumbling the bag. Honestly, I've been babysitting and trying my hardest to help for 2+ years. Now, why was he doing that? Because he had 7 figures worth of this token. But he says he's not going to sit around forever, not happy with how things are done and controlled. He says it's not trying to FUD the token, but we've also had inside knowledge knowing that he has started to sell some of his OXO back. And so, even though he brought Alex Becker on, and Alex Becker back in March of 2024, so almost a year and a half ago now, he called OXO a North Star and says that there would be multiple billion-dollar market caps on the way, it has not lived up to the hype so far. Which is interesting because recently Alex Becker has partnered with a new competitor to OXO, which is Privix. And Privix, literally tomorrow, is launching a complete deployment of their privacy spot DEX on mainnet, which is a privacy DEX that basically does everything that OXO was planning to do. And on June 19th, Gerla said Privix is going to be my next 100x call. A $400,000 market cap at that time to a $40 million market cap incoming. Big things are coming. Now, who replied to this tweet? None other than Alex Becker with his Morty, you son of a gun, I'm in meme. And Privix, they only have 4,000 followers on Twitter because they are way more new than something like OXO. Says they are an EVM compatible blockchain designed to prioritize privacy, security, and anonymity in a unified ecosystem. And they're not actually only doing that because they've got some builders on their team and they've got some pretty cool products, including their very own token launcher, PrivixMeme.fun. And interestingly enough, Privix at the moment are only at a $6 million market cap, which is a high risk, high reward play for an Alex Becker token. And you may be thinking, wait, what the hell has happened here? Which is a fair enough thought because Privix are at a $6 million market cap. They dropped down to a $2.5 million market cap 1 week ago, 9 days ago, just all of a sudden out of the blue. Which this is the statement from the team. But basically there was a KOL that was putting fear, uncertainty, doubt, or FUD out there. And then he has deleted his tweets since realizing that his allegations were not true. And I believe the rumor might have been that Privix were selling their token or something, when in reality, they were putting it into an assured DeFi official payment address that all projects pay into for KYC and marketing services. And of course, just like I remember D-Race in the last cycle, where Alex Becker said he made a house in a day, or what was worth a house in a day, it's because when people buy that FUD, which sometimes is true, sometimes is not, but when it's not true, it'll bounce back hard and literally give people like a 3 or a 4x basically in a day or two. Which takes us to our fourth Alex Becker token, which we have to come back to this tweet to start, which is actually one of Becker's most viewed tweets in the crypto sphere. But Becker says that he's taken huge stakes, which means not only has it been a partnership, but he has likely paid for the tokens himself in Ator and ZKML, which is our fourth token in this list, which is Ator. Now, if you are familiar with this, you'll know that Ator was the old name for the token, and now they are called Anyone or Anyone Protocol. And Anyone Protocol tweeted out this video, which we have our little yellow Alex Becker display photo popping up saying the snowball effect of the network, with pretty much all of AI and deepin adding Ator to their network. So other tokens in AI and deepin are adding Ator to the network and their infrastructure, and it's going to be straight stupid. In fact, if that's not a strong enough testimonial, have a look at this next one. Of course, once again, we're going to see someone like Crypto God John pop up, and he normally is ahead of people like Becker in these tokens. And Becker says that he can see multiple billion-dollar market caps incoming. And it does seem absurd now, but I'll show you what happened in the last cycle to a very similar token. But have a look at how strong Becker is on Ator. He says, everyone knows how powerful PAL is. Now, PAL was one of the top tokens, again, that sort of fell off. And so there's sort of new room for the top blue chip tokens in the mid-cap AI and privacy sector. And he thinks that Ator is an absolute hidden monster that people are not aware of. Its tech will change the entire deepin space, which is, I mean, you can't get much of a stronger call than that. And it's not the only time he said it. He says Ator will rise to multiple billion-dollar market caps and an easy way to score 5 to 10x in the next 6 to 8 months. This was back in June, which means the next 4 to 6 months. Now, the Anyone protocol is actually really well run. We are partnered with them on our channel as well. They're also partnered with pretty big names like Candace Owens, and they're not just another vaporware product. They literally have set up their own hardware to power their privacy ecosystem, which is pretty crazy because even Becker said in his latest video that he's shocked at the market cap of Anyone because it's currently at a 64 million fully diluted value. And if we look at market cap and we go to all time, you can see it peaked over $200 million back in December when the market was way hotter, which has had a nice strong pullback. And it's shown some pretty good responsiveness to the markets as it's had its recent couple of pumps. But of course, Becker thinks we have not had what this chart is showing here as the exponential banana zone, which is Helium, who also ran their own nodes in the last bull market and ran to almost a $5 billion market cap. So when Becker says he can see Anyone going to multiple billion-dollar market caps, it's because he's looking at projects like Helium from last season and seeing exactly how high they ran. But if you're like me and are trying to copy trade Alex Becker, but you're kind of confused because we can't all be in 75 tokens. And if we are in 75 tokens, I don't think we're going to do as well as if we concentrate into the highest ROI tokens on his list, obviously, just by definition. But it's really hard to know what tokens are being added to Alex Becker's list before they're already in the tens or hundreds of millions of dollars of market cap, which is why in our inner circle, we track over 40 Alex Becker wallets to see when new allocations are given to Alex Becker. And just yesterday, we had this alert in our inner circle about the 75th Alex Becker token, which is also a token that Crypto God John and the other Wealth Group boys are in. And so if you are trying to make money copy trading someone like Alex Becker, come and join us in our inner circle where you literally get access to his wallets and his moves the moment he makes it. We don't just track Becker, we track a lot of people in there, but specifically a lot of people join us for Alex Becker because he can move the market more than almost anybody else. And in fact, like I've been saying in this video, we just published inside our inner circle Becker's top 22 tracked holdings and the precise amount on chain that we track across all 40 of his identified wallets. And once again, this is helpful because whatever token he's holding multiple millions of dollars of, he is way more invested in and likely to push out. And this is how, not just with Becker, but with other crypto influencers as well, because we have that X-ray vision, we have that insight, we can hit a 23.2x on Orc, we can hit an 11x on Vert AI, we can hit a 76x on DAO because of our awesome community and their crowdsourcing. We can hit a 13.4x on something like OGPU because of the run-up of the rumors on Crypto God John buying and us being able to see the transactions on chain before they happen. One of the big ones was Pinlink, which absolutely went crazy with volume here at a 17.2x, where we literally beat Alex Becker into the token. And we don't just do Alex Becker, we do a lot of other KOLs, a lot of other influencers. If you want to go see their portfolios, get access to their wallets, get access to updates in real time, so you have a competitive advantage over the rest of the market and can therefore outperform them, click the link in the description below, come and join us inside our inner circle. Now this takes us to our fifth token and another strong partnership for Alex Becker and a partnership here again on the across the Rubicon. But this is such a natural token for a partnership because me and my brother, who's our quant inside the inner circle, literally dissected, took down. We spent weeks in the bear market looking at the best cryptos. We went through hundreds of them, gave them all individual ratings, and then put them on a leaderboard against one another. And one of our favorite tokens, our fifth highest rated, I think it was tied fourth highest rated token, was ZKML. And this, if you remember this popular tweet by Becker, is another token that Becker has taken. He literally capitalizes huge in the amount of stakes that he's taken. And since that tweet actually, and we put this out in our inner circle, we caught another 0.2% of the supply being sent to one of Alex Becker's wallets, which is massive because we know that he's way more likely to continue to promote it if the project is keeping him on as a partner. He says, ZKML was at a sub 8-figure market cap earlier this week, and that is an easy layup. And you can see ZKML, it was up 181% back here. This was back in 2024. I'm going to show you the updated prices. This is one that really moves with the market because it is a lower cap crypto and it is a good project that Alex Becker is extremely bullish on. So when he mentions it, guys, this thing absolutely flies. Trader XO says there's some pretty decent looking projects, sub 100 mil market cap and above 20 mil market cap. What's on your list? Becker didn't list a bunch of tokens. He literally listed one, which was ZKML, which, funny enough, ZKML has recently dropped below that 20 mil market cap. So, I mean, in Becker's eyes, it is a much bigger buy because they have, honestly, ZKML, you saw it was ranked 5th out of hundreds of tokens that I looked at. They're a very impressive project. Their ecosystem has private search, AI marketplaces, and even a privacy-focused encrypting messaging app built on the Anon network, which is why it's always surprising to see it pull back into the teens of market caps. Here it's at a 15.54 million market cap at the peak. It crossed a 60 mil market cap. This is back in December. But you can see the responsiveness to a bull market. ZKML always performs extremely well. I think we're looking on the Anyone chart and we could see those two little spikes. You can see ZKML literally went from a 9 mil to a 24 mil market cap overnight. This is a token that is one of our top 5 out of hundreds of cryptos we broke down. And this is also one that Becker has recently re-partnered with. So a very strong narrative for ZKML.